Hi, Math Champions. In this video, we're going to learn about expanding and simplifying algebraic expressions. Before we get into this, there are certain things that you have to know. If you do not know these particular topics, I would encourage you to go and learn those topics and then come back to this video. Otherwise, what will happen is you will be listening to this video and you'll be assuming or thinking that you understand, but actually you would not understand. And that is why I always say that your basics, the foundation should be strong. And this is also a foundation. For this foundation also there will be some foundation, and those things you have to know. What are those things? First thing is you have to know multiplication. Okay, multiplication you have to know that. I think if you have come to this video, you should be knowing it. And next thing is you should know about the distributive property of multiplication. If you do not know that, you can check out my channel itself, which has distributive properties of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and all. So distributive property of multiplication you have to know. That is one thing. The next thing that you have to know is integer. How integers work, like integer addition, integer multiplication, integer addition, subtraction, multiplication. These things, how it works, that you have to know. Okay, and you have to know the basics of algebra, which is also available in my channel. So all of these things, concepts are there in my channel. You will have to know these things. Only if you know all about all of these topics, then you will be able to understand this very well. Now, if you know all of these topics, continue this video and let's understand how to do expanding and simplifying algebraic expressions. Before we understand, I always say we have to know why we are learning it. Why we are learning it is because, let's say in a particular experiment, you got some generalized, formula or something, expression you got. Okay. In a different experiment, you got a different expression. I mean, like using the same variables, using the same parameters, you got a different things as well. Now you will have to combine these two results and come with a one conclusion. So you will have to use, you will have to do the combining of things, multiplying of things, the existing, the results that you've got from a particular experiment with the results of another experiment. When you have to do these kind of things, you will have to use these expanding and simplifying of algebraic expressions. Okay. Now, you will be able to understand what I am saying here only if you have watched my basics of algebra, where I talk about algebra is used for pattern recognition and generalization, right? When we are conducting some experiment, we see a pattern and then we come up with a generalization. And then we say, okay, this is how it happens. And we come up with an expression for it. Okay, algebraic expression we come up. So in another experiment, we get a different expression. Now we are going to combine these two results and come up with a one general expression. And for this is where we are using expanding and simplifying of algebraic expressions. So now let's learn how to do that. Okay. Okay, before we learn about that, let's understand what is a multiplication of 6 multiplied by a variable. Let's say some constant multiplied by some variable will actually be 6d. Okay, if I have a constant and a constant multiplied by a constant, it will be like normal, right? And if I'm having a variable multiplied by the same variable, okay, when I have like this, I will use the law of exponent, right? Means we know that when 3 is multiplied by 3, we know this is 1 here, the powers get added, right? Let's say otherwise, let's take 3 to the power of 1 multiplied by 3 to the power of 2. What would you do? 3 to the power of 1 plus 2. That is what you would do. The same thing applies here also. If I am multiplying d and times d to the power of 2, that means I will be getting d to the power of 1 plus 2. That is d to the power of 3. In this, I'm also explicitly telling you that d is a d to the power of 1. If I say just d, it means it is a d to the power of 1. Right? There is one time d is there. That's the meaning. Right? That also you will have to understand. Okay. Now, if I have, let's say, minus 4d multiplied by 5e, if I'm having like this, what will happen to this? Is first of all, there is a negative integer multiplied by a positive integer. As I told you, if you know the integer multiplication, you will know that, okay, minus 4 and plus 5, then when they get multiplied, I get a minus 20. And d multiplied by e will give me de, will give me de. That means to say, if I'm having two different variables, that is p multiplied by q, it will be pq. Okay. So all these things we'll have to know so that we are clear about how things work. Okay. And the next thing that you also have to know from the basics of algebra is that like terms, if we have like terms, they can be added together and subtracted. If we can do addition and subtraction of like terms. Therefore, we will get a simplified thing. Okay. This is a basic foundational information you have to know to do expanding and simplifying of algebraic expressions. Okay, now let's take few questions and do that so that you will be able to clearly take up something. Okay, now let's take simple x bracket x plus 3. What is the meaning of this? What's the meaning of this? That means there is a particular x which is added to 3. Okay, that means there is some number. First you're adding it with 3. First you're adding by 3. Why? Because this is inside the bracket. First, yeah, you also have to know BODMAS, right? Where we talk about first is a bracket. So that number is taken and it is added with 2, 3 first, and then it is getting multiplied. When you say bracket, whatever is there outside immediately with it, it's called multiplication. Okay, multiplication. But if I have x plus 3, there is no multiplication with the x. Remember, immediately outside the bracket, there is an addition here. That means x is added with 3 and then another time x is added. That's the meaning. This for this. Okay. But however, we will talk about x. Immediately there's a bracket opened and then there is a x plus 3. Now, here is where we will be using the distributive property. What is the distributive property means? It means that when we have addition and also multiplication, how it happens, like a multiplied by b plus c gives you a multiplied by b plus a multiplied by c. This is the distributive property. This is what the distributive property says. That means what? A is first multiplied with b and also a is multiplied with c also. And if there is a plus here, then that plus will come here. That is the meaning of the distributive property. And if you want to know why, how it is, I would encourage you to go back to the properties of multiplication and learn that from my YouTube channel. Now, what did we understand? So the x is first had to get multiplied with x. Okay. Then x has to get multiplied with 3. And then whatever this is there should come here, the answer. Right? So the plus will come here. Okay. Okay. That has come. Now x multiplied by x. What have we learned? When x is multiplied by x, that means x to the power of 1 multiplied by x to the power of 1. It gives you x to the power of 2, isn't it? So x to the power of 2 it becomes. Then if I have a x multiplied by 3, that means x multiplied by 3, what did we learn? It is nothing but 3x. Why? You might ask, can't I write x3? Yes, you can write. But then what happens? Conventionally, it is easier to read also 3x. That means 3 times x. Okay? It's easier to write. You can write this way also. Nothing wrong about it. But however, conventionally, it is easier to read also. So x multiplied by 3 gives me a 3x. And this is how I'm going to expand this. Now I have expanded this. Now can I simplify this? Simplify means what? Do I have like terms here? Can I add any of the like terms here? That is what I'm going to see. Do we have a like term here? No, because there's an x square here and there's an x here. Though the variable is same, like if you have watched in my previous video, like basics of algebra, I would have explained why these are not like terms, right? X square, the power is 2. X means the power is 1. So they are not like terms. So there is nothing more to simplify it. So we have expanded it, and that's the end of the story. Okay. Now let's take some other question where we'll have p multiplied by q plus 3 minus p multiplied by 3q plus 4 plus r. Okay, let's say this is the question for us. Now we have to multiply distributive property, right? P multiplied by q gives me a pq. P multiplied by a 3 gives me a 3p. Okay, so that's all. Here now, this p, remember, p is getting multiplied to the entire this one. So remember, it is like this. Now, there's a minus here. So let's not confuse ourselves. And remember, this is a minus p also. You can think as it is a minus p. So if it's a plus p, then none of the signs change. But here it's a minus p is getting multiplied, right? Minus p is getting multiplied here. So minus p multiplied by 3q is minus 3pq. Again, why am I writing it like this? Why can't I write p3q? I can write it. But what we do is generally we write the number first and then we write in alphabetical order. So that it's easier for us to, do it further also. Let's follow some conventions, some rules. Okay. That is what I was talking to you about in basics of algebra. Some rules we'll follow. Okay. Then next, this minus p is multiplied with a plus 4. What happens to this? So it becomes a minus 4p. Minus p again multiplied with the r. We'll get a minus pr. Alphabetical order again. Okay. So all of this is done. So now I have expanded this, of course. Can I simplify it? For that, if I have to see whether they have like terms. Yes, this is a like term with this. Okay. PQ minus 3PQ. Now, this PQ means what? There is only one PQ. Here it says minus 3 PQs are there. That means basically 1 and minus 3, I will have to add them up. Right? That's the meaning. So when we know integer addition, we know 1 minus 3 is minus 2. So it is actually minus 2 PQ. Okay. Then we have this p plus 3p and a minus 4p, right? So 3 and minus 4, that's a thing, right? 3 minus 4 is nothing but minus 1. So it is minus 1p. Now, I can write as minus 1p or just write minus p also. Because when I say just one variable, that means it's one time it is there. That's the meaning. So I can write minus 1p or just write minus p. That way also I can write. So what else is left out? Okay, this is left out, correct? Remember, there is a minus sign. You should not miss that out. So it's a minus PR. So we have done the expanding in the first line. And the second line, we have done the simplifying. That means all the like terms we have added or subtracted according to the integer addition and subtraction. So this is going to be our answer. Okay. I hope you've got a fair idea of what is happening here. And this is how you will have to do it. And I would encourage you to solve many problems on this. Then be clear about it. And then, that is when you have mastered the concept. Until you have not solved the problems on your own, you know that you have not mastered the concept, right? Okay, see you in the next video with yet more concepts on algebra, and see you. Bye-bye.